Good morning, ma'am.
हाँ जी, गुड मॉर्निंग विमलेश, ऑल रेडी?
Yes, ma'am, all ready. बस हम
हाँ,
पार्टी।
मुझे होस्ट बना लो।
हाँ जी मैम, मैंने आपको को होस्ट बना दिया है।
हाँ, अभी
और
थोड़ी देर में अत्री सर भी ज्वाइन करेंगे, उनको भी बना लेना।
ओके मैम, मैं आपको होस्ट ही बना दूं क्या?
नहीं नहीं, को होस्ट बनाओ, क्योंकि उनको जो राइट्स देने हैं वो बना लेना।
ओके मैम, और स्पीकर विल ऑल्सो बी को होस्ट।
हाँ, स्पीकर विल भी को होस्ट, मुझे भी बना लेना, स्पीकर को भी बना लेना।
हाँ जी, आपको तो ऑलरेडी बना दिया मैंने।
हाँ, स्पीकर को थोड़ी सी अगर कोई स्लाइड व्लाइड अपनी शेयर करने के लिए जो भी हो, उसको थोड़ा सा अगर जरूरत पड़े तो गाइड कर देना। बाकी तो सबको सब आता ही है आजकल।
हाँ जी मैम, जूम से तो सब आजकल फेमिलियर है।
हाँ हाँ,
हाँ जी,
क्योंकि
ठीक है
एक्चुअली
मैम।
ट्रूली स्पीकिंग मैं ना एक्चुअली मोबाइल से कर रही हूँ ये।
ओके
मेरे किड्स की क्लास चल रही है मेरी।
ओके।
हाँ, तो इसलिए मोबाइल से है, तो थोड़ा सा आपको यानी बोलने का सारा मैं देख लूंगी, आप वो
ठीक
थोड़ा
है
मैनेज कर लेना।
ठीक है मैम, श्योर। ओके मैम, ओके। अभी मेरी बात हो गई है स्पीकर से, ही विल ज्वाइन एट 10 AM।
अच्छा, ठीक है, उनसे
हाँ
बात हो गई।
हाँ जी।
हाँ, ओके ओके।
ओके, थैंक यू मैम, थैंक यू।
हाँ जी। क्या चाह रही है अस्मिता? मैं ऊपर जा रही हूँ, दूसरे कमरे में जा रही हूँ। ठीक है, हो गई।
बोल ना इसको, ऐसे कोई बात नहीं, इसके ऐसे खोल के ऐसे कर लो।
हाँ, वही दिखा के बोलूंगी, उतना अच्छा
हेडफोन
नहीं
काला
लगता।
वाला ले लो।
एक्चुअली शक्ल दिखाए बगैर अच्छा नहीं लगता ना।
हेडफोन काला वाला ले लो।
Good morning, sir. Good morning, Shiv, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Sir, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
विमलेश सर आ गए हैं.
यस मैम, यस मैम.
हाँ,
मैम,
सर को होस्ट बना दीजिए.
मैम, सर इज को होस्ट नाउ.
ओके ओके.
Okay.
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 मैम, may you please start मैम.
हाँ, थोड़ा सा और पार्टिसिपेंट्स का थोड़ा सा और वेट कर लेते हैं.
यस मैम.
सर
टाइम, हाँ अभी तो टाइम है एक्चुअली.
हाँ जी सर, टाइम है एक्चुअली. सर बस आप अपना पीपीटी शेयर कर दीजिएगा बस. नमस्कार सर. माई सेल्फ डॉक्टर संध्या दीक्षित. मैं इस सेशन की कोऑर्डिनेटर हूँ.
ओके ओके. थैंक यू वेरी मच. ओके. So you are from mechanical department as well?
Yes, I am assistant professor in the mechanical department.
Okay. Okay. एक्चुअली मुझको ना को होस्ट ही बनाइए बिकॉज होस्ट बनने से आई एम गेटिंग लॉट ऑफ मैसेजेस, सम एडमिन मैसेजेस कि किसी को एडमिट करना है. सो मेक मी को होस्ट, नॉट द होस्ट.
सर आपको को होस्ट ही बनाया है.
Okay, I am getting a lot of messages actually then.
So please ignore that messages. We will handle
Okay.
that messages. Thank you.
लेकिन स्क्रीन के सामने आ रहे हैं एक्चुअली.
ओके सर, ये थोड़े से आते हैं मैसेजेस, तो
Okay.
आप प्लीज उनको इग्नोर कीजिए. वी विल मैनेज ऑल द थिंग. वी
ठीक
विल
है.
ओनली फोकस ऑन लेक्चर.
All right, no issues.
ओके ओके.
Someone is scribbling on the screen. Please don't do that.
विमलेश, पार्टिसिपेंट एनोटेशन बंद कर दो एक बार.
ओके मैम. ओके.
हाँ, अनेबल कर दो उसको, पार्टिसिपेंट एनोटेशन. And I request all the participants to please keep themselves muted. अपना वीडियो और ऑडियो प्लीज म्यूट रखिएगा.
मैम, दे ऑल आर म्यूटेड बाय मी.
Okay.
So if they have any question, they will put in chat box, and in
Or
the
they can
last.
raise their hand, तब हम उनको अनम्यूट कर देंगे.
Okay. Or maybe as per the convenience of our expert, we will have a question and answer session in last 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay.
So has YMCA started your, I mean, academic session?
Yes, sir. It was started on 20th of July.
Okay, so you are now doing it, I mean, totally online classes?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay,
On Google Meet,
okay.
online.
So in Google Meet, is there an option that some sort of automatic attendance is recorded, something like that, class-wise?
Yes, sir. The option is there, but
Okay.
otherwise also actually we have made the students to join through their official mail IDs, which include their
Okay.
roll numbers. So they're all the
Okay.
roll numbers or the names, they come in that sequence only. So it's very convenient to take the attendance. Otherwise, an option is there through which we can
Okay.
automatically download the attendance.
Okay, class-wise, basically, lecture-wise, basically.
Class-wise,
Okay.
lecture-wise.
That's great, yeah.
Actually, we teachers have created our own classroom,
Okay,
and the students they join those class as per the timetable.
okay, okay. And also in Google Meet, I believe there is no time limit also per lecture.
Yes, sir. There is no time limit.
Okay.
But we follow the timetable, so the class is approximately of 50 minutes duration. But that is
Okay.
teacher's discretion that he ends that class.
Yeah. 50 minutes is, I think, more than sufficient, because in the online class, if the class is in a presentation mode, the things are moving fast, actually, very
Yes,
fast,
yes, exactly,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
Vimlesh, I think there are 30 participants. Should we start? The time is.
Ma'am, please start. Please start now.
Sir, start करें हम.
Yeah, please. Yes.
Good morning and a warm welcome to all on this second day of short-term training program on advanced manufacturing technology, CNC and robotics. Today, we have amongst us Dr. Shiv Sharma as expert speaker. Dr. Sharma is Associate Professor and Head of the Department at IILM Academy of Higher Learning, Greater Noida. He did his BTech from Punjab Technical University, Jalandhar, and fully funded PhD in Materials Engineering from the Open University, Milton Keynes, UK. During his PhD, he worked on advanced material characterization using neutron diffraction. He did metallography, EBSD texture, measurement of stainless steel welds. He has done experiments at leading international labs such as ISIS UK, FRM2 Germany, and ILL France. He has taken academic assignments at Thapar University and Amity University, Haryana. He has also worked at UGC DAE CSR BARC, Mumbai, where he was involved in design and development of neutron spectrometer and related instrumentation. He has a strong industry connect and have organized many industry talks on highly applied topics such as thermal imaging, die casting, welding technology, piston technology, etc. His research areas include materials engineering and alternate fuels, and he has published a number of research papers in national and international journals of repute and conferences. Welcome to this program, Dr. Sharma.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Dr. Dikshit, for this introduction, and also Vimlesh for the listening part, and also Dr. Sanjeev for his kind invite. So thank you very much. I think video is not required at this stage. I will just switch off in the interest of data saving. Okay, so basically, I congratulate the university, YMCA University, for organizing this short-term training program on advances in manufacturing technology, CNC and robotics. So this area particularly is of great importance to a country like India, because we have seen that unfortunately we couldn't make breakthroughs in certain areas of manufacturing. For example, the fab, the semiconductor fabs, where China, Taiwan, and other countries have taken lead, and the semiconductor fabs are highly manufacturing technology oriented and make full use of the CNC and robotics, mechatronics, these concepts. Now, as a academic institution, the faculty members and the students, it is important that they at least keep themselves updated on such emerging areas. Okay, so basically I have chosen the topic of additive manufacturing in the scope of Industry 4.0, although I don't claim myself to be an expert in the additive manufacturing as such, but I have quite a good exposure to the manufacturing sector by way of teaching, by way of organizing several events, by visiting the industry, like that. So we can go to the technical part. Yeah, so manufacturing is a core area of every mechanical engineer's lifespan, whether it is a teaching or industry or some project work. So we have been exposed to the processes, the fundamental processes of casting, metal forming, joining, and machining. So every process has a characteristic nature. For example, the material flows in casting, and it also flows in forging. But in the casting, it is a natural flow. In the mold cavity, we can apply the principles of the fluid mechanics, but in forging, it is a different type of flow, which is under the application of forces. The material flows in the die. Now the end result is that the casting microstructure is different from the forging microstructure, and the strength is also different. So within the scope of manufacturing, and also comparing it with the additive manufacturing, I would like to stress upon specific processes like injection molding and
Hello.
it is of course quickly defined. Yeah, hello, yes.
Sir, actually there is some problem in audio, I think, from your side. आपकी आवाज ब्रेक हो रही है. बीच में आपका म्यूट हो गया था.
Just a moment.
Sir, again there is some problem in audio.
Let me do the stop sharing and do. Is it can? Hello.
Hello.
Let me change. Let me is the internet connection. Let me connect to another one. Just a moment.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Hello. Is it visible? Sorry, is it audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have changed the net connection. Hopefully things will go smoothly now. Let me do the screen share again, because I was earlier doing with Airtel, now switched to Jio, so probably there are issues with
Sir,
Airtel.
it's far better now. It's
Yeah, I think there were
very clear.
yeah there were issues with Airtel, I think.
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank God I had another one. Okay. Okay, let me just recap the things again. So basically, I was saying that manufacturing is a core area, and it is a part of every mechanical engineer's life, whether in academics or in industry. And so we have been exposed to the fundamental manufacturing processes like casting, metal forming, joining, machining. So during the casting process, the material flows, and also during the forging, material flows, but there is a fundamental difference. In the casting, the material flows like a liquid, so we can apply the principles of fluid mechanics, but in forging, the material is basically deformed under the application of forces. So in both the cases, we get typical microstructures. Casting strength wise is not so great, but in forging we get a good strength that we can directly manufacture the parts for end use application like the connecting rod. Now with reference to the additive manufacturing, we have processes like injection molding and die casting. In the injection molding, we use a raw polymer as the starting material. It is heated up, it is melted, then it goes into the mold cavity and takes the shape. There it is solidified, then ejected. Similarly, in die casting, the difference is that we deal with the metal instead of the Sorry, I think I was disconnected again. Some internet is giving trouble. Yeah, so basically die casting and injection molding are similar processes, and briefly touching upon the additive manufacturing here. So we introduce the raw material. Of course, there are polymers and metals as well, but I now specifically mention the polymer. It goes into the heater of the machine, then it is melted, then it is extruded to the machine table. But still, there is a fundamental difference. That in additive manufacturing we make use of the CAD at the machine level itself. Whereas in injection molding, these are just standalone machines. Injection molding and die casting, these are standalone machines, and the CAD part is done at an earlier stage where it is used to basically produce the die of the machine. So once a die is machined, you can make n number of parts. But in additive manufacturing, the CAD is integrated into the machine itself. So basically, even before we introduce the polymer into the machine, it takes input as a CAD model. So we will discuss that later. Sorry. Powder metallurgy is another candidate process which can be considered identical to the additive manufacturing metal part. So the additive manufacturing metal side, it takes as raw materials the metal powder as raw material. Similarly, the powder metallurgy as well. But here also again we use a specific mold cavity, the kind of shape we require. But in metal additive manufacturing, again, it is the CAD model which goes into the machine, and it defines the component. Okay, then there are non-traditional machining processes: electric discharge machining, electrochemical milling, laser beam machining, electron beam machining. The beauty of such processes is that these can machine hard and brittle materials like nickel superalloys, can produce intricate shapes in the materials. Okay, so this is one class of processes. Now, CAD CAM CAE is the overall domain which has taken the control. For example, CAD modeling, it gives us the solid models, or in case of sheet metal, basically the surfaces. CAM, of course, the manufacturing after the CAD stage, and CAE is another aspect which deals with the analysis part. Now, robotics mechatronics is the process level integration, that how the product moves in the assembly line. So in the mass production scenario, or batch production scenario, or a job production scenario. So for example, painting on the automotive car bodies, there are robotic paint cells. Just a moment, I need to just mute something at my home. Just a moment. Yeah, sorry. Mechatronics is at the equipment level as well, that how we make use of the microcontroller, the sensor systems, maybe for some specific machine, specific process. For example, some automated inspection, any machine vision system like that. Now, Industry 4.0 is the umbrella. It covers all the mentioned terminology. So basically, at the level of Industry 4.0, it is the communication between the elements, such as the robotic arms, through the framework of IoT. So that is the Internet of Things. So this is the brief overview of the manufacturing setup, which of course includes the traditional processes and also some of the modern elements. Okay, now we specifically come to the additive manufacturing. We define it. So it is popularly called as 3D printing, and also a formalized term for rapid prototyping. So rapid prototyping we will be covering later, but as the name suggests that some prototype has to be produced quickly. Now again, as I have told, that at the core lies a 3D CAD system. So first we need to generate a model using a 3D CAD system, and then it can be fabricated. So the parts are made by adding material in layers. So this is interesting here, that each layer is a thin cross section of the part derived from the original CAD data. So that also we will discuss that how it will be. The thinner each layer is, the closer the final part will be to the original. So here I would like to present an analogy that the layer by layer manufacturing or the additive manufacturing in some way is similar to the medical imaging of the CT scan, but it is just other way around. So that we will cover a little bit in this scanning part. Okay, so basically the native file format to additive manufacturing is the STL format. So that is the abbreviation of stereolithography. And originally it was created by 3D Systems of US. Now, because as a mechanical engineer or as an automobile engineer, we have been working with CAD. And if you are a little bit familiar with the computer graphics, that we know that in the back end of a CAD package, there are certain algorithms going on, like the line drawing algorithms and so on. Similarly, there are various CAD model formats as well. So STL is just one of them. So it can be called as standard triangle language, standard tessellation language. And this is a standard file format supported by many software packages used for rapid prototyping, 3D printing, computer-aided manufacturing also. And STL file, it basically describes the surface geometry of a 3D object, and it does not take into account the representation of color, texture, or other common CAD model attributes. So just the surface geometry. And we can use the ASCII and binary representations. So binary files are more common because these are more compact files. So this is a typical representation that we have the original CAD model. As I have told you that for better understanding of the CAD model, one need to have a knowledge of computer graphics, that how the entities, the graphics entities are created with the help of computer graphics. So there are various algorithms and various procedures, and so the STL model is basically created from this CAD model of this cylinder by using this triangulation elements. Okay, and one more thing. Of course, when we talk about additive manufacturing as such, the better knowledge of this subject is with the industry people who have been supplying the equipment, working on various projects. So as an academician, I'm largely following a textbook style, so that the faculty members and the students have a better idea or the overview. Then of course, when they start doing the actual work in collaboration with the industry, they can go further, more technical. Regarding, for example, there are various issues. There are various kinds of, in the polymer domain, there are various machines. Some machines are costing maybe just rupees 1 lakh to 3 lakh, but there are, like, for example, MakerBot in the range of 2 to 3 lakh, but there are Stratasys machines maybe costing rupees 30 lakhs. So the faculty member might have some funded project where the money is available. But still the question is whether what kind of equipment you will require. So that is that you can answer only when you have at least a good academic exposure to the subject. Okay, so the generic additive manufacturing process. So basically we have a CAD model, again created using the standard algorithms of the CAD package, then converted to the STL format, the triangulated format. So now we transfer the file to the machine. So machine basically does the slicing and the file transfer to the machine. So after the slicing, basically the data looks like exactly like a CNC machine program, because it is basically ultimately the XYZ coordinates where the printer head has to move to deposit the material. So in a CNC setup, it is again the same thing, that we define the XYZ coordinate where the tool has to move to do the machining. So similarly is the case here. Then build it does start depositing the material, then we have to remove the component. Now here something important is that we, depending upon the type of material we are using, so we have a issue with the quality of the product. Different materials will give different surface quality. So at the post-process stage, we can use the coatings if required. Then finally, we have the application part, where is the intended application of the product. Okay, so we will commonly encounter certain processes like stereolithography. So this is an old process, again used to create certain 3D models by specific machinery, originated by US company 3D Systems. They use the term stereolithography. Then the 3D printing term actually used by the researchers at Massachusetts. So they invented an inkjet printing based technology. Because if we talk about our normal inkjet or laser printers, they basically they are doing the same thing in a 2D domain. So we have a piece of paper which is a plane, and there is a reservoir of the liquid ink or the powder, whatever it is there, and it is coming in the required quantity, and the print head basically moves onto the paper. So only thing is that specifically in 3D printing, what we are doing is that we are extending a 2D process into the third dimension. Okay, so here at this stage, it is important to give a distinction between the additive manufacturing and the CNC machining, because as I have told earlier, that both processes are basically some point system, maybe either a cutting tool or the extruder of the machine. It is basically moving in XYZ coordinates. So additive manufacturing shares some of its DNA with CNC machining, but of course CNC is primarily a subtractive process rather than the additive process. So the primary material is just a block of material, so at least as big as the part that has to be made. And the additive manufacturing technology was originally developed around polymeric materials, waxes, paper laminates, Then of course composites, metals and ceramics have been introduced, and even nowadays of course the biomaterials as well, and specifically the possibly the printing of some organs also, but that will take time. Now CNC machining of course can also be used for some soft materials like medium density fiberboard, some machinable foam, machinable waxes, some polymers. But basically these materials are not the primary materials for CNC purpose. They can be later on can be used as patterns. So the CNC is primarily for machining blocks of material like from steels like that. Yeah, so it works particularly well for hard brittle material like steel and other metal alloys to produce high accuracy parts with well-defined properties. So these will be the final products. High-speed CNC machining can remove materials much faster than additive manufacturing, for example, if we talk about the additive manufacturing, how much material it can add in the same amount of time. But there are other considerations. For example, the additive manufacturing can produce the part in a single stage, but CNC machines require considerable setup time, process planning, particularly as parts become more complex in geometry. Okay, so this is just a simple example that if we want to manufacture this cup using CNC machining, so we need maybe this size of the block, then this much deep cavity has to be machined. This undercut will be difficult and we will require more than 3 axes of machining here. Then we need to hold the component in a specific fixture to machine the base. Then these sharp internal features, we need a specific tool radius like that. So there are basically technical issues. So under certain circumstances, we need to make use of additive manufacturing. Okay. Again, as I have been discussing the conventional manufacturing, as we know that still the conventional manufacturing processes are very much in use, and it doesn't happen that if any new technology is there, it is just taken up by the industry. It normally doesn't happen that quickly. So whenever a new technology is introduced, we need to give the benefits of that technology. Then there are cost issues as well. So it has been described as revolutionizing product development and manufacturing. So that is definitely there, that with the integration of CAD into additive manufacturing, the product development is quite a bit different as compared with the conventional techniques. For example, say in die casting, the product development is something like that. Basically the mold cavity, the die, that is, once it is machined, it is machined. But in additive manufacturing, still there is a scope for repetitive product development and manufacturing, that suppose at stage 1 or the prototype 1, we don't like certain things, we can do it again, but for die casting or injection molding, it is tricky. So now it is frequently referred to as one of a series of disruptive technologies that are changing the way we design products and set up new businesses. Indeed, it is disruptive because here the product design and manufacturing both we have at our disposal. And again, as I said, that but in case of die for press tool or injection molding or for die casting, we don't have that much of a control. Speed, of course, there are issues with the speeds. So if we are just considering the time it takes to build parts, then of course the speed is an issue. For example, if we want to compare with injection molding is faster. But if we talk about the whole product development process, then probably the additive manufacturing might have an advantage. Then 3D CAD is the starting point, and the transfer to additive manufacturing is relatively seamless. And also there is no concern over some data conversion or interpretation of the design intent. Just a moment, just a moment. Sorry, I want to discuss now some of the example additive manufacturing parts. So there are just so many nowadays. So this one is the fuselage. So it was just fabricated using a stereolithography machine for so the component is for some unmanned aerial vehicle, and here the skin is reinforced with some conformal lattice structure. So this one, the lattice structure, and B and C, these were fabricated using material jetting process. And for example, okay, yeah, so in B we see basically two materials, so B and C. Yeah, so in B, it is the deposition of multiple materials simultaneously. So one set of nozzles deposited the clear material, other set deposited the black material, and C is a chain section. So that is also the advantage of additive manufacturing, that any interlinked components or assemblies can be manufactured. Yes, so D is a metal part that was fabricated in a metal powder bed fusion machine using an electron beam as its energy source. So this is basically some facial implant. So this one. So when we talk about the medical implants, so whether these are the knee implant or the dental implant, so again here we have an advantage that we can directly work on the patient's data, because we are working with the CAD model. So the CAD model can be made directly to the patient's specifications. Now we can use probably some scanning process here. For example, if a knee implant is required, then the medical imaging of the knee area can be done, and the exact shape of the implant can be worked out, and that directly transferred to the CAD model. There is another manufacturing aspect here, that is the sheet lamination. So part E was fabricated in that mode. So basically several sheets are fed into the machine. So these are just basically bonded together. That is the sheet lamination, this one. And also it has inkjet printing capability for multiple colors. Then F and G, material extrusion. So these are the material extrusion process, simply melting the polymer and forcing it through the extrusion head. And H&I, polymer powder bed fusion. Again, as the process tells that we basically don't extrude the polymer through the extruder head. It is just the fusion on the bed with the application of some external heat. H&I. So these one, H&I. So these are just typical parts. But of course, nowadays there is just a big range. Okay, so if we want to talk about the term additive manufacturing, why we use this term. So basically it is combining materials layer by layer, and the term additive manufacturing seems to describe this quite well, the layer by layer. But of course there are some another terminologies. Maybe we can discuss a couple of these one. Yeah, so additive manufacturing or layer-based manufacturing. So basically, these descriptions relate to the way the processes fabricate parts by adding material in layers. Of course, this is in contrast to the machining technology that removes or subtracts parts from a block of raw material. And also, some of the processes may not be purely additive. So they may add material at some point, but there might be some subtractive processes at some stage. And of course, even every commercial process works in a layer-wise fashion itself. Whether we talk about conventional manufacturing processes, so these are also layer-wise, but it is not an essential approach that it has to be something layer-wise. The materials may be added in different ways, but of course in a broad classification it may be called as a layer-wise method. So material may be just vaporized or onto some substrate. Okay, stereolithography or 3D printing. So basically both are identical processes. Only thing is, because these were developed by different companies. For example, the 3D Systems is a US company. They created the terminology of stereolithography. So basically the lithography is just the ancient stone writing. And 3D printing terminology was used by researchers at Massachusetts. They invented the inkjet printing based technology. Again, as I have discussed, that basically lithography or printing, these are essentially 2D processes, and we need to just extend them into the third dimension. So because we are familiar with printing technology as such, so then the idea of printing a physical 3D object, it should make sense. So many consider that eventually the term 3D printing will become the most commonly used wording to describe additive manufacturing technology. So here, basically the additive manufacturing, as we have described it, basically the layer by layer deposition of materials. But if we talk about the equipment, then it is the extension of a 2D printing into a third dimension. So therefore it is just a convenient term. The 3D printing is a convenient term to describe the additive manufacturing technologies, and as such the additive manufacturing technologies domain can be a broader domain. Rapid prototyping. So rapid prototyping, whenever we take up a course in manufacturing, so we encounter the term rapid prototyping also in CAD and in CAM subjects also. Okay. So why it was called as rapid prototyping? Because of the process this technology was designed to enhance or replace. Manufacturers and product developers used to find prototyping a complex, tedious, and an expensive process. Of course, it is that if we have to create a new prototype, it is of course a complex and tedious process and expensive process also, that often impeded the developmental and creative phases during the introduction of a new product. Now, suppose we have to create something new, some new product, and it is geometrically complicated and some intricate shapes are there. So then in that case, it cannot be simply created by any lathe machine or milling, and sometimes from CNC as well. Then there might be the dependency on some another processes, maybe die casting or even some non-traditional processes. But again, it will be complicated and time consuming. So rapid prototyping was found to significantly speed up this process, and therefore this term was adopted. Now, if we talk about additive manufacturing, so of course originally the additive manufacturing or 3D printing was developed largely for rapid prototyping work, but now it is actually just, it is much more than just prototyping. So there have been improvements in accuracy, there have been improvements in material properties, and now this technology has catapulted into testing, tooling, manufacturing, and other realms that are outside the just prototyping definition. Because earlier, the concept of prototyping was largely that how the product will look like. Okay, of course, the term rapid prototyping will also continue to use without specifically restricting it to the manufacturing of prototype, just basically as a terminology. For example, IBM might have been referred all the time to just PCs, and then the 3M, it manufactures products outside of the mining industry, like that. So just as a word, basically additive manufacturing will be referred all the time to prototyping. Okay, so this we have already discussed, that we basically convert the file into STL file, which is originally built within a conventional just a moment. Sorry, some disturbance at my home. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, so basically there are other ways in which the STL files can be generated, and other technologies that can be used in conjunction with the AM technology. So we can just quickly discuss. Reverse engineering. So as I have been discussing before, that when we do the additive manufacturing layer by layer, and basically the material is being deposited in layers in terms of X, Y, Z coordinates. Similarly, the imaging also does the same thing. So we use so we basically capture geometric data from another object. So that is the imaging or the scanning part. So it is basically a point cloud form. So that is the technical term used for the data. So it is an unconnected set of points representing the object surfaces. So in additive manufacturing, basically we need to disconnect the CAD model. So that is the interesting analogy, that in additive manufacturing we need to disconnect the CAD model, and in imaging we need to connect the points. Okay, so these points can be connected together using some reverse engineering software like GeoMagick. So it can be used to combine point clouds from different scans and to perform other functions like hole filling, smoothing. Then the actual method might be the laser scanning or some touch probe. For example, the coordinate measuring machine CMM. So it is a touch probe. So here the object is put onto the machine table, and a probe touches the various areas of the object, and finally we can have the dimensions or the 3D CAD model, something like that. Objects that have complex internal features or anatomical models may make use of the computerized tomography. As I told you earlier, the CT scan, it was initially developed for medical imaging, but it also available for scanning industrially produced objects. So as I have mentioned previously, this technique essentially works in a similar way to additive manufacturing by scanning layer by layer and using software to join these layers and identify the surface boundaries. So in additive manufacturing, it is just the opposite, that we have a CAD model. We basically slice the CAD model, and the finer the slicing is, the finer is the product. Computer-aided engineering. So basically, for product design and development, we use 3D CAD. We know all that it is extremely valuable resource. So what is the one major benefit is that in the software-based design, that ability to implement change easily and cheaply. Okay. If we are able to keep the design primarily in a software format for a larger proportion of the product development cycle, we can ensure that any design changes are performed virtually on the software description rather than physically on the product itself. So for example, we have a CAD model which is initially in a CAD workstation. From there it is okay, and it just go to the manufacturing station or the CAM. Before starting the actual CNC program, we still have the scope that we can change it there. And 3D CAD is commonly linked to other software packages. FEM, we all know the analysis part, calculate the mechanical property of a design. CFD, electromagnetic analysis, structural, thermal, so on. Okay, now we come to the machine control part. So basically, as in a CNC, so CNC is a mechatronic system. So if you have studied the mechatronics subject, we know that at the core, we have some conventional mechanical component, which can be just an IC engine. And then we have the actuators and the sensors connected to the mechanical component, and then the microcontroller based control. So in a CNC machine, it is a mechatronic system that we have the DC motors or the servo systems in use. The microcontroller is there. We require the precise positioning of the cutting tool. So in the same way, the additive manufacturing technology also requires precise positioning of equipment in a similar way to a CNC machining center or even a high-end photocopy machine or laser printer. So interestingly, a desktop laser printer, maybe at our home or office, it is a very fine example of a mechatronic system. So there are several motors along with their controllers doing their task very nicely. Of course, there are sensors as well. Then the photocopier is much more complicated mechatronic system. Then networking, so the computer has to communicate to other computers around the world. So internet, then ethernet, like that. Files for building would normally be designed on another computer, so to that running on the AM machine. It simply means that we have a CAD workstation where we create the CAD model, then we just transfer it to the AM machine, and AM machine need not to have any dedicated computer. It just has its own small control system. It has the flexibility of taking the CAD part, and then you can do some manipulation on the machine. Okay, integration. So as is indicated by the variety of functions, the computer forms a central component that ties different processes together. Okay, so as I was discussing a typical mechatronic system, so here the process controller, it is a microcontroller. I hope probably people have a basic familiarity with the microcontroller, because microcontroller is now the integral part of many systems. So it is basically the IC chip. It can also be called as a microprocessor if the memory element and the ports are not on board, then it is a microprocessor. But if the memory elements and the ports are on board, then as a standalone device, it is a microcontroller. So it is the heart of the PLCs, the microwave, washing machine, elevator, mobile phone, so many another devices or gadgets. Actuators are basically which do the control actions, like the motors, the valves. Sensors, basically the sensing elements, they just primarily sense their environments and give the feedback. Temperature sensor, pressure sensor, humidity sensor, flow sensor, like that. Okay, so the process controller has to take the data from the sensors, activate the actuator, and do the control part, like the environmental control, any temperature, humidity, atmosphere. Then some head cleaning, interlayer control, platform movement, that is the Z control. Layer plotting is the XY control. Okay, then there are issues of accuracy also here in a typical additive manufacturing machine or 3D printer. It might have different accuracies for layer plotting, different accuracy for the Z part, the upward lifting or down. Then the user interface is just some process monitor, slicing, process setup, and of course the internet is there for the data part. Okay, so this we have discussed a couple of times, that basically a 3D solid modeling CAD software has to give some output, and basically, yeah, here it is something to mention that not all CAD systems may be producing output suitable for the layer-based manufacturing technology. Okay, so currently the additive manufacturing technology focuses on reproducing geometric form, and the better CAD systems to use are those that produce such forms in the most precise and effective way. Okay, so CAD basically has been developed quickly because of the demand set by CAM, computer aided manufacturing. and because it is a channel for converting the virtual images developed in CAD into the physical products that we use in our lives. Yeah, so basically we want to say that the driving factor for the development of CAD has been the conversion of the images to the physical realities. And of course, the development has been fueled by the associated development in associated technologies like the processor, memory, display technologies. So if a few years back, it was almost impossible to run the CAD packages like ANSYS on a PC or even MATLAB, and even further few years back AutoCAD also. So there were dedicated graphic stations, but nowadays on a PC we can run the heavier package. So CAM systems produce the code for numerically controlled machinery, essentially combining coordinate data with commands to select and actuate the cutting tool. So this part we have also discussed. So basically what we want to say here that as in a conventional manufacturing, the CAM and CAD integration is seamless. Similarly, in the additive manufacturing also, it is the same thing. Basically, the CAD and the additive manufacturing integration is seamless. Okay, so other technologies that have developed along with additive manufacturing, for example, lasers. So many of the earliest additive manufacturing systems were based on the laser technology. So lasers provide a high intensity, highly collimated beam of energy that can be moved very quickly in a controlled manner with the use of directional mirrors. Since additive manufacturing requires the material in each layer to be solidified or joined in a selective manner, so lasers are ideal candidates for use, provided the laser energy is compatible with the material transformation mechanisms. Means that it should not be destroying the required microstructure of the product or some desired properties of the product. Printing technologies. So inkjet or droplet printing technology has rapidly developed in recent years. Improvements in resolution, reduction in cost, then high resolution printing, multiple colors, now it is available. Such improvement in resolution has also been supported by improvement in material handling capacity and reliability. Initially, colored inks were low viscosity, fed into print heads at ambient temperatures. Now it is possible to generate much higher pressures within the droplet formation chamber, so that materials with much higher viscosity and even molten materials can be printed. Now the droplet deposition can be used to print photocurable and molten resins as well as binders for powder systems. So photocurable simply means that the polymers which can be cured with the help of light. Since print heads are relatively compact devices with all the droplet control technology highly integrated into these heads, so it is possible to produce low cost, high resolution, high throughput additive manufacturing technology. Okay, here for example, this is a simple printer technology. So we have the X and Y for position control, for deposition part, as I have mentioned. Z-axis is simply up and down movement. So this is the jetting head which contains the photopolymer. Then the UV light is for curing. So this is the build tray or the machine table, maybe some support material, and this one on the top is the actual material being deposited. PLCs, I think you might have heard this word at some stage, maybe during the BTech or later on. So basically, when we talk about the input CAD models for additive manufacturing, so these are the large data files generated using standard computer technology. So once they are on the additive manufacturing machine, so these files are reduced to a series of process stages that require sensor input and signaling of actuators. So now this is process and machine control that often is best carried out using microcontroller systems rather than microprocessors, although both are identical, but as I have told that a microcontroller is a standalone device for process control. So industrial microcontroller systems are basically the basis of the PLCs or programmable logic controllers, which are used to reliably control industrial processes. Designing and building industrial machinery like additive manufacturing machines is much easier using building blocks based around modern PLCs for coordinating and controlling the various steps in the machine process. Okay, so the early materials. So earlier additive manufacturing technologies were built around materials that were already available and that had been developed to suit other processes. However, the additive manufacturing processes are somewhat unique, and these original materials were far from ideal for these new applications. For example, the earlier polymers were hard, but some softer material or combination of hard and software was required. For example, the early photocurable resins resulted in models that were brittle and warped easily. Powders used in laser melting processes degraded quickly within the machine, and many of the material used resulted in parts that were quite weak. So as we came to understand the technology better, materials were developed specifically to suit the additive manufacturing processes. Okay, so this is further the more technical part, that how do we classify the additive manufacturing processes. There are numerous ways to classify. The popular approach is to classify according to baseline technology, like whether the process uses lasers, printer technology, extrusion technology, etc. Then another way is to collect processes together according to the type of raw material input. Okay, so there is a classification method described by FAM. It is a 2D classification method. The first dimension relates to the method by which layers are constructed. So earlier technologies used a single point source to draw across the surface of the base material. Then later systems increased the number of sources to increase the throughput, which was made possible with the use of droplet deposition technology. For example, which can be constructed into a 1D array of deposition heads. Okay, so this is the classification. For example, in a 1D channel, we have just one deposition head. So these are the input, like whether it is a liquid, polymer, or discrete particles, molten materials, solid sheets also. Then 2 into 1D channel, array of 1D channel, 2D channel. So depending upon we have, so typical, specifically the 3D printing, which we call, this is the array of 1D channels. So then there are some industry names. So SLS is selective laser sintering, fuse deposition modeling, like that. So there is a wide range. Further throughput improvements are possible with the use of 2D array technology. For example, digital micromirror devices, high resolution display, capable of exposing an entire surface in a single pass. And the material classification are something like that: the liquid polymer, discrete particle, molten material, laminated sheet. Liquid polymer. So these are the popular material. The first commercial system was 3D system stereolithography process based on liquid photopolymer. Photopolymer is just the polymer takes shape with the help of light. So nowadays also the large portion of systems are basically liquid photopolymer systems. But of course we cannot restrict the classification to only photopolymers, because there are experimental systems that are using hydrogels. So we can use 1D channel, 2 into 1D channel, and we can use the laser also. Then the droplet deposition of polymers can also be used. It can simplify the curing process. Discrete particle systems, so basically powders. So that are generally graded into a relatively uniform size and shape and a narrow distribution. So distribution is basically what range of shapes and sizes we have. The finer the particles, the better, but there will be problems if dimensions get too small, then in terms of controlling the distribution and dispersion. The conventional 1D channel approach is used to use a laser. So this time to produce a thermal energy in a controlled manner and therefore raise the temperature sufficiently to melt the powder. Polymer powders must therefore exhibit thermoplastic behavior so that they can be melted and remelted to permit bonding of one layer to another. Yeah, so basically for discrete particle systems, we have a very popular selective laser sintering technology. Again, it is marketed by 3D Systems. Then some specific brand name EOSINT, EOSintering we can call, developed by some German company, EOS. Molten material system, so we have a preheating chamber. It raises the material temperature to melting point. It can flow through a delivery system. So this is a popular method, FDM, on that aspect, fused deposition modeling, developed by the US company Stratasys. So Stratasys is a leader in this domain. So it uses an extrusion technique to deliver the material through a nozzle in a controlled manner. And 2 extrusion heads are used so that the support structure can be fabricated from a different material to facilitate part cleanup and removal. Solid sheet systems are also there. So laminated object manufacturing. So basically there is a sheet paper supplied from a continuous roll and a laser basically cut profiles. So these forms the layers first, and then there is a heat activated resin which bonds the layers together like that. So all the layers are bonded together. So basically it looks like a wooden block, and then some excess material can be cut like that. Quickly, the metal systems. So now there are direct metal processes. So there are some specific branded machines, EOSintering and laser engineered net shaping. These have been around. Recent additions from other companies, improvements in laser technology, machine accuracy, speed, cost have opened up this market, but still the metal additive manufacturing systems are still quite expensive. So most direct metal systems work using a point-wise method. Nearly all of them utilize metal powders as an input. Because metal powders are easily to obtain, easy to manufacture, and then of course easy to work with on a metal additive manufacturing system as compared with maybe a solid block or other thing. Of course there are sheet lamination approaches I have discussed already, and some specific companies have introduced some very novel methods, like Solidica of USA have used or introduced the ultrasonic consolidation on a sheet lamination processes. Now in previous sheet lamination which I have discussed were largely the polymer sheets, but now we are talking about the sheet metal laminates that are ultrasonically welded together. So this is very innovative thing. Okay, I have discussed already. Yeah, so of the powder systems, almost every newer machine uses a powder spreading approach similar to the selective laser sintering, followed by melting using an energy beam. The energy is normally a high power laser beam. And of course, some of the companies have introduced of their specific methods, like the Swedish company, they have introduced the electron beam melting. Okay, hybrid system I will not discuss in the interest of time here. Okay, so the manufacturer, suppliers, technology research. So we had organized in the month of May an online internship on 3D printing technology for manufacturing and infrastructure sectors. So we invited speakers from these companies or the organizations. So I have mentioned specifically the names; those have a presence in India. So Stratasys is a market leader through their distributor Arc Info. Then Voxeljet basically makes bigger industrial 3D printers, and also they are expert in the domain of making the patterns for the casting process. So the patterns are created by the Voxeljet 3D printers. Then Objectify Technologies, they have also some specialty. Vol 3D. Fronius is a leader in welding technology. Basically, their equipment are quite sophisticated in terms of the control system they have. So they do work in area of that is welding arc additive manufacturing, WAAM. So basically, a robotic arm keeps on depositing the layers of weld metal. Renisha is a UK-based company. They are into metal-based systems. Wipro 3D also into 3D printing. Then Anton Par, they are more into the materials characterization. And in research, NPL Jamshedpur is doing research, and at IIT Delhi, Professor Sunil Pandey, he has done work quite an interesting and a very good work on metal transfer during welding. And very interestingly, you can do the project on a simple welder, maybe MIG welder or TIG or whatever arc welder. Only thing is you need to optimize the control system in such a way that you understand the metal transfer during welding, that whether it is a droplet deposition or a spray deposition or a globular. So there are four types of depositions. Because if we want to, for example, we want to purchase a typical metal based additive manufacturing setup, it is expensive, and it might not be within the reach of every academic organization. So another way is that we work with the simple welding setup and try to optimize it in a way that it can be used for a additive manufacturing, like depositing the weld arc. Okay, I think I am done with this. So my apologies for not adding. I could have added more images onto this for better understanding. But as I have been developing an online course on additive manufacturing for Industry 4.0, so I just took largely that course. Sorry, what happened? Yeah, as I have told that for your academic institution or the center, you may try to organize some industry talk, and I can also connect you to any of the speakers from these mentioned on this slide. I can connect you to them. So there they will, because they will be specifically talking about the specific machine or the products manufactured. So you have a better understanding from a industry perspective. But from a overall manufacturing perspective and the process selection, product development, I can also guide in that regard. Okay, I think now you may ask some questions. I will see if I am able to answer those questions, if you have any. You can.
Thank you, sir. Participants, if you have any queries, you may please ask. विमलेश थोड़ा सा उनको अनम्यूट करते जाइएगा जो भी पूछना चाहते हैं.
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am. Participant has now right to unmute to themselves and can ask their questions.
You can also type in the chat box if you like to do that. And also I am also open to any collaborations in this field, because some of the industry persons, they had expressed their desire to work on some student projects or so. So if you want to collaborate in this area to write a project to some agency, I am also open for collaborations in this area.
Thank you, sir. I am sure this opportunity will be utilized.
You can also browse the websites of these companies. There are very interesting case studies they have put on their websites. So from there you can have an idea to work upon. So there are case studies on various domains: automotive, manufacturing, healthcare, dental. And also just one suggestion that if the institute can afford, they may try to procure at least a budget 3D printer, which can be anywhere between 1 to 3 lakhs range. For example, MakerBot 3D printers are quite good in that domain. So you can set up a small additive manufacturing lab where the students and the faculty members at least can start working on some projects, and this can be then integrated with the CAD lab or the CAM lab. So this is quite an interesting area to work, that you will not be dependent upon some expensive things like XRD or SEM, like that, electron microscopy. And also you can keep on browsing the website of Anton Par. So they basically manufactured a range of materials characterization equipment. They organize various interesting seminars. And also at Gurgaon, they have a good lab where atomic force microscope, AFM, and nano indentation, then some another instrumentation they have, and they allow you to characterize your sample free of cost there. So you can also connect to me if you want to use some of their material characterization facilities.
Sure, sir. Sure. Actually, I'm not very sure, but some efforts in this direction for procuring some 3D printer and establishing a lab were also carried out at our university.
Okay.
There was some proposal. I'm not sure how far this has materialized, but
Okay.
there were some efforts before this lockdown to procure some 3D printer and to set up some labs. Some other faculty members were involved in that. I was not directly involved. But
Okay, so please let me know once you procure that.
sure, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Sir. So I think there are no queries from the participants. Actually, your lecture was explaining the basic concepts so in such a simple and easy manner that I think there are no queries. So,
No issues, no issues. Specifically, if there are any students, I would like that they should not shy. If anything comes into their mind, they should definitely ask if there are any students. I mean, the research scholars basically, if they are, because I can see many doctors.
yes.
So the list is basically full of doctors, and they are already enlightened.
No, sir. No, sir. The knowledge is always.
So excuse me, sir. So I'm Vimlesh, organizing secretary.
Yeah, Vimlesh, yes.
So please, may you please share your PPT, because in our WhatsApp group, several participants has demanded about the PPTs which have been taught. So if you have no problem, then you can share the PPT with me on
Yeah,
WhatsApp.
immediately I will share. I don't have any problem. I will mail you on your that organizing email ID.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Yeah, I will
Thank
just
you,
mail.
thank you,
I
thank you.
have
Very,
no
very
issues
good.
with that.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. Okay,
Thank
then
you.
I think if we can then wind up the session.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for sparing your valuable time and giving this excellent lecture. I'm sure the participants are hugely benefited. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So now the session 1 for today is over, and there will be a break for half an hour. I request all the participants to join again at 12 noon. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you all.
Vimlesh, you can
Sure, ma'am. I am
end the session.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay.